when you had that business idea in your head, and eventually you stood up one day, a lot of people in Nigeria start the business before they even register it. So it's not a bad idea also, but one way or the other, you are limited to the kind of transactions you can do. But the moment you walk to the CAC and you register that business, it's to a very large extent, it's like it's somoloruko. It's like you are doing a naming ceremony for the business. Just like you write those names on that list, when you give it at the naming ceremony and everybody can mention the name of the child, that is what you have done to that business. And when you do that to that business, the business becomes alive. Forget the fact that you have an office. Because a lot of offices, a lot of the big businesses that you see now globally, they don't even have an office anymore. I know there was a time HP was working at clearing off their offices and everybody meets virtually because they found out that it saves them billions of dollars every year. They expect when they employ you, they already have an idea of the kind of people they are going to employ because they want self-driven people. You come in maybe once a week to come and talk about your reports and submit your reports to your head and all those things. So for everybody here, please, how many people here are business owners now? Please, your hands up, please. Business owners. You have registered your business has started to engage in service delivery or products and all that. Okay, so quite a good number. I'm hoping that the people that are either working or are hoping to start their business, they learn from this also. You yourself as a business owner, you are an architect. You are an architect because one way or the other, an idea has dropped into your mind. That idea that has dropped into your mind, if you allow that idea to properly be simulated in your mind, you take that time to be able to look through that business properly, you can create the business up to the second generation from your mind. Sorry, is everybody with me? You can create that business in your mind, even onto the second generation. All you need to do is to find a way to first put it down. That's why they will tell you that write a business plan. When you look at that particular body anatomy, this is the internal parts of a human being. Somebody created this. And between you and I, a lot of machinists, people that are technologists, machinists and all that, they've looked at the design of the human body, internally and externally, and they've said that it is like the most perfect machine that has ever been created. And believe you me, a lot of them try to model their creation, what they created, in one form or the other like the human anatomy. Why? Because if something has been created already and it is perfect, why not just copy from it and paste it? That is the way the business is also. When you look at this business model here, you see it from the top. You see marketing, you see implementation, you see financials, you see all those things. Believe you me, you can gain an architect. You can call another business architect. You know a lot of people here. How many people here got a business consultant to write their business plan for them? It's not bad. Please, just put up your hand. It's not a bad idea. It helps you in being able to start something. Because you might need to see Auntie Shayo's baby and carry that baby and feel that baby before you might even be thinking of wanting to have a baby. Sometimes it happens that way. That's why sometimes they tell you that if you don't have a child yet, or you are looking for a child, maybe you should try adoption or try being kind to other children. That is architecture. You are copying from something that already exists and you are bringing it into existence to help you also. You can rent an architect. You can pay an architect to start a business idea and think about it from end to end for you. But a lot of time it is expensive. And the second thing about it is that would you be able to have, except you are totally plugged into the consultant's brain, which is not possible. you might not be able to have an idea of everything that is in his mind. Along the line, you start to have problems. You might not ever be able to take that business beyond a point without needing that architect, that business consultant every day. Please let me go back to the beginning. So now that I, forget the fact that the topic sounds and looks very academic. The reality of everything we are talking about. Well, I'm a Christian, so sometimes, pardon me if I use Christian analogies. God says that what we see is an evidence of the things we cannot see. Most likely, if I see a horse on earth here, I can nearly be very sure that there is a horse in heaven. Because it's available. Something that is not... You cannot create something that is existing from what does not exist. I don't know if you understand that analogy. Something must have existed, if not physically, it has existed in the mind before you can create it. Because as far as God is concerned, these clothes that we are wearing, which is our body, is just a cloth for who we are originally. This is not us originally. It's not, my hand is not my hand originally. There is a spirit that this thing is covering. Thank you. So, the topic is business and enterprise architectures, creating the competitive edge. Do you know the biggest competition edge that you can ever have in this life? The biggest edge you can ever have in competing is being in an industry that combines your talents with your experience. I don't know if you understand what I mean. Imagine if you have a talent of, for example, cooking. You just have a talent for cooking. And for some reasons that you do not understand, you just found a way to have worked in the restaurant for 5 years. And you have a talent, a God-given talent to cook. Most likely, if it is well harnessed, you might be the most profitable owner of a food business ever. Why? Because you have a natural talent that you have been wired with. Then you have now entered into a business that helps you to understand the value creation process of that industry up to the level of monetizing that talent. Do we all agree that there are a lot of people that are talented and they don't have money? They are talented, but you know them, they are poor. You see them every day, and you are like, ọmọ ide morun di o. But o ṣe man tọrọ owó lọ́wọ́ mi gbogbo gbà. Only if she can. A lot of people are like, and I won't lie to you, even we that we are talking, a lot of us are like that. Knowing something and still not being able to build a commercial entity around it to be able to cater for your needs. And that is not God's plan. God's plan is you have that talent. That talent was given to you for a reason. So that one way or the other, you are able to work a livelihood from that. And then, not even that alone, you are blessed enough to be able to now even impact the world with it. And that is why, to a very large extent, God will ask everybody here about their talents in heaven. What did you do with it? You can't get to heaven and be telling God, me or more business, me or more business. You had the time. So one of the ways that you can be competitive is combining that talent with some level of experience. That's why for me, anybody that wants to build a business, one of the things I tell you first is that, have you committed yourself to a particular place before where you have been able to gather some level of experience concerning that thing? You want to be a judge. For an example, it's very rampant among the young people like us and down to be like that. In the olden days, you will hear that Shino Peters, he worked with Barista for 15 years. He was the one carrying his drums. He was the one that was packing the instruments and everything. So is it very surprising that you now find that Shino Peters became one of the most prominent juju musicians? No. Because he went through a process. And eventually he understood every aspect of that business. Even the one he does not know. along the line he can still pick it up. So I don't expect you to be someone that knows how to tie gele. And one day you just wake up and you say, you know what? Let me go and print invoice. Let me print receipts. And let me continue. Most likely, you will come out of that situation doubting if you even ever know how to tie gele. Because you'll be disappointed a lot of times. Disappointment is part of the business. But a lot of times, there are some things we don't need as business owners to go through. Only if we had exposed ourselves to some level of training or to some level of, forming a relationship with someone that can give you direct impactation concerning that line of work or business that you want to go. So, what is an enterprise? An enterprise is very simple. An enterprise is not a business alone. An enterprise is a human activity that one way or the other intends to cater for people, that is focused towards a purpose, and one way or the other has a platform to be able to achieve that purpose. An enterprise can be a private sector enterprise. An enterprise can be an NGO. An enterprise can be a church. An enterprise can be a missionary or an association that wants to just teach children, a project. Anything that has people, that is people focused, that has a purpose behind it, and then has a platform to be able to deliver it, just like Amfest Expo has. Then, what is the architecture of business? A lot of times, when you look at architecture, let me use an analogy so that at least we can go home with a vivid picture in our mind. When you look at a human being, you are sitting down now. You are like one entity. That if I carry you now and I throw you, I can throw you as a stone and you will move from one point A to point B. Abi, you cover space and you have weight by yourself. But do you know that if we take you now and we tear you up, we will take different elements from you that has their own separate weight and covers their own separate space also. That if I take it and I throw it, it will move from point A to point B by itself and land somewhere. And you know what? You now have a lot of them inside this your body. That is how a business is. Exactly. A business is inclusive of an organized structure, and organized strategies, organized events, organized hardware, organized database. There are different things that come together to form a business. That's why when you are an architect and you are sitting down to be able to eventually picture your business, you should have the capacity to be able to picture your business from end to end, knowing nearly every daily activity that is involved in eventually delivering money to you. Somebody asked me yesterday, he said, since I've been doing business, do you know that I have never given an invoice one day and somebody eventually pay money into my account and say, I have engaged you for this work. He said most of the businesses that he has done in his life, it has always been about, okay, okay, 100,000, it's 100,000. It's 100,000. Eventually they agree on 80,000. And that 80,000, the next thing is that, Emma worry, I send the Oyen's account $1. It's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. Imagine having done your business that way all year or all day. There are a lot of elements in it that one way or another is lost. You can't track that kind of business. You can't even track money. You can't track the activity. There is nothing that binds you to that person in the area of, this is what the deliverables are, this is what I am paying for. If you deliver A, B, C, D, then I know I have been fully satisfied. Because that person that gave you that money tomorrow, when you come back and you have delivered that job, and he said, oh, you have photo pẹ̀lú ẹ̀. Do you know that you cannot really, I just saw a photo now. Can you argue? You can't argue because there's nothing documented. There's nowhere where you sat down and properly thought about the whole process and said, look, I can do this, I can't do this, based on what you have given me financially. So every element that goes into day-to-day activity of your business to be able to deliver value first and then get return for you. Even when you are giving value, returns might not be money alone. I don't know if you understand me. Returns might not be money alone. Return might just be the fact that you want to even look good in a particular community because you are delivering a service to them so that it can become future returns for you. Some of those activities, you hear a lot of things about branding. Branding. What is branding really? Branding is a lot of activities that come together to eventually allow a color or an artwork or an impression of a business to stay with you. When you see Coca-Cola today, sir, what do you think? Just anybody. I want it to be a bit interactive. When you see Coca-Cola today, when you see Coca-Cola, does anybody, I don't know if everybody does it, but when you see Coca-Cola, does anybody have a sound behind their mind like, that satisfaction? You know why you think like that? They have bombarded you with that image a lot of times. So when you see Coca-Cola, you just feel, like somebody drank it and the person was satisfied. So that is why you feel a lot of time that when you are thirsty, let me go for a Coke. But believe you me here, if anybody can tell the truth, has Coke ever quenched your thirst? It has never quenched your thirst. The only thing that can quench your thirst and quench it properly is water. And you know why? Because it doesn't have taste and it doesn't have color. But they've sold that gimmick to you so that they can increase the number of Coca-Cola that is being sold. Basically, they've thought it through in the whole architecture of the business. Then when you look at it, what does a business architecture, what does it help you to do? Number one, it helps you to understand the business DNA. Okay, I used to have some friends that were dog breeders. They breed dogs for sale. Has anybody had or known those kind of people before? They breed dogs, Alsatians and those dogs, and they sell them. One of the things that is demanded, especially internationally, when you want to engage in that kind of business or anything that has to do with breeding, is that they want to see a DNA card. They want to know the history of that dog. They want to know the mother of that dog. They want to know the father of that dog. You know why they want to know the father and the mother of that dog? They want to know it because it will determine the child that dog will bear. You can even, to a very large extent, tell the outcome of that child the moment you see the father and the mother, and you are able to have an understanding of what their DNA analysis is. And believe you me, it's biological. Biological. You know, and this is, I'll just say this on a lighter note. When you see a guy that, well, he's not exactly very good looking. Not exactly very good looking. You know, to a very large extent, let me use the word straight, ugly. Because really there's nobody that is ugly, but let's just use the word ugly. Why does that kind of boy or man has issues with women in getting women to appreciate and go out and date them? Do you know there is a biological process that is happening? Because a lot of times the women are programmed to think about the children that will come out of that process. Àbí o lè fẹ́ yàn tí àwọn ọmọ mi ò lè wá dúdú báyìí. Ọ àwọn ọmọ mi wojú ẹ̀ bó ṣe rí ni ojú ẹ̀ tó lọ́pọ̀ ẹ̀ àwọn ọmọ mi ò lè lójú báyìí. So an analysis is going on. An architectural strategy is going on in the lady's mind. And it's not only for ladies. It's for men also. You see a lot of men, a lady, everybody is, pardon me for this. You notice that a lot of times, a lot of men go for one kind of lady. And there might be 4 ladies there. And the 2 of them are wondering that, am I invisible? A lot of time, analysis is going on the man's mind also. That, look, that is how it is with the business architecture also. The DNA of the business is when you see, that's why you notice something. Apart from them analyzing you as a business owner, when you go to banks, They want to know the personality behind the owner of the business. How many businesses have you run before? How much